And here we go. Welcome to my kitchen on this Monday evening here. Welcome to TikTok Live. Have fun interacting with your viewers in real time. Creators must be 18 or older to go live. Well, considering that this wok here, I've only had this for about 14 years. I'm not sure if that counts. However, fortunately, I'm probably about 3 times that, so I'd say we're safe there. And of course, as usual, we should of course obey the community guidelines, which means, naturally, never say anything bad about TikTok. Never say anything bad about TikTok's paid advertisers. So that if I were to ever mention that some of the crap that they sell on TikTok Live is in fact junk and snake oil, that would be bad. So I'm just going to do something innocent, like let's do some cooking here in this lovely large cast iron wok, which, by the way, I am not selling. I do not have a link to this wok. I'm on the TikTok shop. Not only that, this is my favorite wok shovel here. That is, I think, vintage that I found at the Brimfield Antique Show. I do not have a link to this wok in the TikTok shop because you could get these dirt cheap at any Asian market or Chinese market. And that is what I would highly recommend if you want to get one of these yourself. All right. By the way, this is not going to be an Asian or Chinese stir fry. I know they're the same thing. This is more like a take on corned beef hash, in fact. This is one of my favorite stir fries. And there's an excuse there to get rid of the rest of this little bit of corn oil. So I'm also happy about that. But yeah, about the only thing Asian about this, I think, would be the fact that I'm doing this in a wok using a wok shovel. Not that there's anything bad about that. I'm only saying that just because, you see a wok and you think, ooh, Chinese stir fry. No, this is actually my own kind of stir fry. As I said, it's a take on corned beef hash. And there we go. Now that we've done that much, let us start by throwing in some white potatoes. This is the longest part this is the part that's going to be the hardest to cook. That's why I put it in first. These are white potatoes. I sliced them fairly thin so that they'll cook a little better or easier. And I used white potatoes so that they will still hold their shape and actually maintain a little bit of firmness. I love russet potatoes, but if you were to use russet potatoes in a stir fry, they would just turn to mash and all come apart. As it is, we're just going to be cooking these potatoes until they do start to soften. And then we get to throw in the other ingredients. I love stir fries. They're so much fun to do and so easy. Within a log, this whole thing should be done start to finish, probably within about 20 minutes. And also, I am using an American-made, thick cast iron wok. This is the kind that weighs about 10 pounds or so I cannot pick this up and toss the food around. So this is definitely not a traditional Chinese wok. However, if there is one thing that is really, really good about this wok, is the way the cast iron holds heat. It retains heat, as they say about cast iron. And that means you can use this wok on a typical cheap American stove. Even an electric stove. Because, the problem with, unfortunately, with woks is that they do require huge amounts of heat. And if you want to do yourself a nice stir fry in a wok, you better have a pretty decent oven or stove. While this one isn't bad, It definitely is not the most expensive stovetop in the world. In fact, I did a lot of my learning how to cook in this wok over the past 14 years. On an electric stove, no less. And hello to the folks here. And where potatoes raw, or where the potatoes raw or blanched first. You know, I do my potatoes raw. You have a good point that probably blanching of the potatoes wouldn't have been a bad idea. I just never do it that way. Just simply cook these until they start to soften, which actually is not going to take too long because these are white potatoes, and also especially because I sliced them, well, thinly, I guess you could say. They're not paper thin. They're not like, they're not like potato chips, but thin enough. Also, even though, as I said, I love this stir fry, some folks here may object because I don't use a lot of seasonings in this. I'm going to be using salt, pepper, garlic, and that's really almost about it for the seasonings in my case. Of course, if you make your own potato stir fry, you can, of course, throw whatever seasonings you want in it because you're going to be the one eating it. You know, seasoned salt, barbecue rub, whatever you like. But this particular one, I like it fairly, I guess, uncomplicated just because I like the taste of it. Because we're going to be adding corned beef hash plus spinach. Because I find the combination of those two goes together nicely, the taste combination. However, it does look like these potatoes are starting to soften already because it looks like they're already starting to shrink. For the record, there's a total of 4 potatoes here. 1 large potato, 3 medium potatoes, and 1 that turned out to be a pretty tiny potato. I'm not necessarily trying to sear these potatoes because, again, they are going to be going into a hash. And anyway, this is really a low-effort supper tonight. I'm not out to win any kind of a cooking contest or get any of those chef reaction videos. Though I wouldn't mind one of those chef reaction videos from someone because, I'd appreciate the attention. But I can safely say this is not going to be a viral video of the kind where I throw in a ton of bacon, drown it in a ton of cheese, and that pretty much drowns out all the rest of the flavor. In fact, I'm not even going to be using cheese in this, largely because I'm out of cheese. However, I am going to top it with a little bit of sour cream when it's all done. Bill Pontoon, I can barely read it, unfortunately, I'm sorry. Just because I have my phone up fairly high in order to get a decent view of this wok here. Because as I mentioned, this is a nice large 14-inch wok, 14 inches from one edge to the other, which is a great size for making a stir frying, as I found out. Big enough that you could do a stir fry for at least 2 or 3 people at a time. Also, there's a lot of room to move your food around, as you can see. And again, I am not a professional chef, which is why probably I'm using this kind of a wok and not a thin wok. But that's all right. What's important is this is going to taste good. It does look like pieces of this potato are starting to turn color already anyway, so we are not doing too badly here. Pretty much like cooking meat, I find, with this, is if you can cut a piece in half with the spatula, then that means it's done. And it seems like we're getting close to that point. Maybe another couple of minutes or so. And the hard part will be done. Then we get to move on to step 2. So no, this is not going to take long at all. And anyway, doing a cooking video here on TikTok Live, I hope, would be something of a change of pace or even a relief from all the political crap that's going around. It's been a couple of weeks since the fake TikTok ban that didn't happen. And at first, TikTok was in a huge state of upheaval. Pretty much all of the regulars who I follow seem to disappear. But, especially within the last week or so, they all seem to be back. And my TikTok FYP is similar to what it was like before the craziness. Well, that's not true. It's been crazy on TikTok, especially around the time of the election. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm just cooking a nice and easy supper tonight. Oh, by the way, F Donald Trump. Alright. Yeah, this is definitely softening at this point. Some of these smaller pieces do look like they are turning color, which is good. And I think we are at about the point now where I can add something else. So, let's do that. Oops, I think I dropped a piece. 5-second rule. Besides, it's going to be sterilized anyway. Alright, now that we've done this, let's do the next step. And throw in some dog food. Or at least the human equivalent of dog food. Yummy, yummy. Squeeze this a little bit. Lay out some space here, if that's at all possible. Alright, here's the part where I try to get the whole thing out of the can in one piece. Even though there's no real reason for it, other than, well, I could say I've accomplished something. Come on. Little by little. Oh, I guess it's not going to work out that way. Oh, well. Well, I got just about all of it out, at least. Anyway. Dog food, anyone? Certainly looks like it has the consistency of dog food, doesn't it? Canned corned beef hash. Actually, when you fry this stuff up, it is pretty tasty. And the main reason why I'm using canned corned beef hash is because this was on sale for about $2 a can, which was, these days, not a bad price for this stuff. As opposed to buying actual corned beef, which these days seems to go about, I don't know, $6 or $7 a pound. We are starting to approach St. Patrick's Day, yes. That's when the cost of corned beef always drops. But we're not there yet. Anyway, all I need to do is to get the stuff good and hot. And try not to flick it all over the place. Smell of frying corned beef is pretty good. So it may look disgusting, but we're not done yet. As I said, it's only a matter of getting this stuff good and hot. And just got the 3 glitter gifter badge. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not actually asking for gifts. I mean, I very much appreciate it. Thank you. But gifts are really not necessary. Salt. I'm just really doing this to have fun. Peppa. So I'm not looking to make a living or earn an income from this. which is a good thing because my understanding is that TikTok is a cheapskate and you make very little income from here anyway. Although hopefully you do get some attention. Excuse me again. See, the fact that I'm saying nasty things about TikTok hopefully will demonstrate I'm not trying to sell something. I am just here to make some supper. Let's see, and for this, let's also throw in some minced garlic. And the fact that I'm using minced garlic will show you I'm from Boston. Another minute or two, and then we will throw in the next ingredient. And here's the part that's a little more unusual, and that's why I call this chaos hash. Yeah, the title of this is chaotic corned beef hash. Because definitely I like to throw a little bit of chaos in. Adds flavor and variety, and sometimes entertainment. Anyway, so far I just have some salt, pepper, and garlic mixed in with these potatoes and this corned beef hash. Oh, yes. Oh, I'd say the potatoes have actually shrunk nicely. And this is why I didn't really bother trying to sear or brown the potatoes. One thing about canned corned beef hash is it's almost impossible to burn it, almost. So you really can't sear it very much. Anyway, here's where things get a little different. And to this, I'm adding a bag of spinach. Because here's something that I like. I find the taste combination of the hash and the spinach is great. And it is something I highly recommend one of these days for you. Just a little bit. And this wok is good and hot, and the food is good and hot. As you can see by how quickly the spinach is beginning to shrink. It's only going to take about a minute or so. Did I drop a piece? Yes, I did. It's only going to take a minute or so. Oh, come on, I keep losing it. For this spinach to become properly wilted and soft. And yucky looking, but yummy tasting. Because I'm using fresh spinach. Once I started making this stuff with fresh spinach, I swore I would never, ever have canned spinach ever again. I mean, while that stuff isn't too bad, even though it's very salty, it is so slimy and so wet that it stains and colors everything. If I had used canned spinach with this whole thing would have become a big green mash. But as it is, the separate ingredients are still staying separate, mostly. Adds a little bit of color to it. Oh, and one other thing too. You'll notice the food isn't even sticking. despite what they say about modern day cast iron always sticking. Because no, I have not ground down the surface of this cast iron wok. What? Ground down the surface? What are you talking about? Oh, haven't you seen all those videos that say modern day cast iron is so rough that you have to grind down the surface in order to get it to cook properly? That is an old wives' tale, or at least a new wives' tale, or an urban legend. Rough or smooth, you can cook non-stick in cast iron. Alright, now that we've done that, getting down to the last part. Sliced mushrooms. Shrooms. And really, that's how fast this whole stir fry takes. After this, we are going to be ready. All we have to do is wait until these mushrooms are cooked, quote unquote, which means essentially soft. And as I said, I did not throw in a lot of seasonings because I love the taste of this as it is. Again, if you choose to make this, feel free to put whatever seasonings you want. If you want to dump a bottle of Worcestershire sauce on this, you could do so. Because you're the cook. It's up to you. In jolly old England, they have another name for this dish. Bubble and squeak. Although from what I understand, there are some Brits who will question me on that, and they might say Bubble and Squeak is not actually an old name. Apparently it was started around World War II, during the rationing days, when they made do with what they had, and so came up with what is essentially a leftover stir fry. And there we go. We're just about ready now. All right. Well, thank you very much for following. That's very kind of you. As you can see, my TikTok channel is, I can't say it's too small. I mean, I know I'm doing not too badly, but it is hardly viral. I've managed to score a couple of TikTok videos that could say have gone viral. And I would not mind a couple more. So I very much appreciate the attention. If I'm interested, if I've entertained you enough that you like to subscribe, thank you very much. I also have a YouTube channel that I've had for about 12 years, in fact, which is also called Cast Iron Chaos. You can feel free to take a look over there on YouTube. And I have a Facebook page, which I call Cast Iron Chaos, which I've also had for a few years. Yeah, I have been doing this casually for several years now, going on about a decade, in fact. And I like it. All right. Let's see, one other thing I have to get. There it is. All right. Because I do believe we are all set here. Let's turn this off. And now it's time to scoop this hash out into a bowl. Nice big bowl here. That didn't take long. That was not difficult. And as stated, you can, of course, add whatever you want to it. Now, it is traditional to top corned beef hash with a fried egg. However, I find, again, because of the taste combination of this, I like to actually put crumpled feta cheese over this. However, I don't have any feta tonight. Yeah, I'm kind of like doing this on the fly here, so I'm missing a few casual ingredients, which means I'm going to do maybe the next best thing, and top it off with some sour cream. Plop. Not enough to drown it. And it does indeed make it look more disgusting, which is perfectly fine because this tastes anything but disgusting. Nonetheless, if you want to look this up on my website, motomac.com, you can certainly find it under chaos hash or chaotic hash. It is really no more than a combination of, again, sliced potatoes, canned corned beef hash, although you can use fresh corned beef if you want, spinach and mushrooms, plus your favorite seasonings, and that's about it. This is all nice and hot, which means it is time to chow down. So thank you to everybody. I do hope you enjoyed this. It's a nice short video, and as you can see, nothing really outrageous. But man, I know this is going to taste good. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. And have yourself a fun and safe Monday evening.